Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to the Entrepreneur Life Show. And for those who are new to the show, thanks for streaming in. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to get my next guest onto the platform. Seems like something's going on with my digital overlay. So if there's any cutting out or you don't hear something, let me know. Not sure what the delay is. Okay. So welcome back to the show. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome in. Very excited to have you here. If you're not familiar with the show, be sure you go to the website, entrepreneurlifeshow.com, and you can see every platform that we are streaming on. Our guest today is Nell Jones. I'm really excited. I was supposed to have her on last week, so many of you may have checked out the show and realized, oh, we weren't there because we had some last minute situations going on, but we are back today. I want to make sure that everyone knows where we are streaming. We are streaming live on a few different social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you might find us in some of your very, very favorite podcast platform. So who we have on the show today? So Nell Jones has been honored and featured as one of Forbes 40 and under success stories. She is a single mom who has changed the game and the stereotype of being a single mother. Me being a single mom myself, I had raised 3 children, so I was extremely honored to have her on the show, to be introduced to her so that she can share her journey. So many of you who might be unfamiliar, but she is going to, basically she has changed the game in what women are doing, single Black mothers, single mothers in general, and how she has changed the game in helping the community and what she does for other single mothers and members. So let's get her on the show, and she's going to talk about also the alignment chapter. So 1 second, and we're going to bring her on. Hi there, how are you? Hold on, I think we're going to jump her right back up to the show. Just a second. Okay, it seemed to be like some type of can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear and see you. Oh, both of us.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you for being on the show. I'm extremely grateful, very happy to have you on the show. When I saw your bio and was sent everything, I thought, what a perfect person to have on the show. And for so many reasons, but because me being a single mother myself, I said it was very impressive.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and chat with you and let you all get to know who I am and also what I do and the different things we have going on for other single mothers in the world.
Well, I wanted to first, before we get into actually the alignment chapter, growing up and then, probably not finding yourself or envisioning yourself as a single mother, of course. What did you envision for yourself? Because I'm sure the alignment chapter and all the progress you have made probably wasn't on the list, I'm going to assume.
No, it was not. Actually, I grew up in probably one of the poorest communities in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm from Homewood, Rushton, and I envisioned myself being a lawyer, surprisingly. I like to debate, I talk a lot, and I'm a very strong headed person. So I believe that criminal justice law was my field just by seeing how Black politics work when it comes to low income communities and how we're always handed the shorthand of the stick when it comes to criminal justice, which creates a lot of single motherhood in the African American community. So I always envisioned myself being this lawyer, fighting in a courtroom. And I've never envisioned myself doing what I do right now. But that passion always changes and fluctuates, once you start getting to learn life and reality. And, me getting to know the things that I was ignorant on, I was always taught to go to college and I would make a success out of myself. Of course, that's not always true because they don't teach you when you grow up in low income communities that financial literacy is so important, and knowing the debt you inherit when you go into college and then you want to switch a major and then it's still not something you're passionate about. So I just never envisioned myself doing what I'm doing now.
I'm glad you said about the financial literacy part because although everybody's talking about it, or it seems that everybody's talking about it, a lot of people aren't really educated on it. Talking about it and being educated on it, what it means for you, how it affects you, and your sense of financial literacy isn't going to be the same as someone else's because your situation is different. And so
Right.
I hear a lot of people talk about financial literacy and basically, oh, get your credit right, or um, understand like what happens when you want to build a business or credit. But it's just so much more because the dynamic is so different for each
Right.
person. So, how did that affect you to where you said, okay, I need to learn from myself? What I needed to do, what fits me. And then I'm sure there was some do's and don'ts and things you learned and some struggles that you had until you finally said, okay, this is it. And then how you changed that for helping others.
Changing that perspective of when I became a freshman in college and not being literate on paying bills. I had my first house, my first newborn baby, and I was not very educated on how savings work, how I should have a couple dollars put to the side. That way I never fall short in any avenue. Being a college student, you have a lot of things to pay for. You have, bills, you got tuition, you got books, and then being a mom, you have diapers, you have light bill, you have rent, you have gas. And at that time, coming out of high school, you don't have a great job. So I was working as a full-time housekeeper and also going to school full-time. So, that where there was no question that I needed to work full time. And
Mhm.
even when I worked full time, I still was not making ends meet. And I remember how that hit me when I remember having my lights shut off the week of my midterm and, trying to study for my midterm and feed a baby in the dark at the same time. I knew right then and there something had to change. So, on my little flip phone, because, back then we had flip phones, everybody had one. Okay. And Google really saved my life on savings. When I learned how to coupon, I'm telling you that saved my life. Couponing saves you a ton of money because the amount of money I was spending on household essentials like cleaning products, feminine hygiene products, heck, pads. Sometimes I'll have to debate, am I going to get pads or am I going to get
Mhm.
diapers? That's the part that we're not educated on as far as what you have to do to budget each month to make sure you make it for that 30-day span. And, I didn't have what I am now. I didn't have that. I didn't have someone being in my corner, educating me, telling me what to do, telling me I need to make sure this is done, that's done. Those are the things that I did not have. And when I realized that that literacy literally saved my life and helped me save money by getting bulk items, and I started giving them away to moms that was at my bus stop, I knew
Uh-huh.
right then and there when I was happy doing that I wanted to do that forever, but it didn't quite hit me till later on in life.
The okay. Did you feel that you had to figure that out yourself? Because a lot of our parents, now I'm in my 50s, and so a lot of our parents or elders didn't understand financial literacy. And I think more or less even in our culture. And so now trying to figure it out and explain to your parents, or because they're not understanding, did you find that there was any struggle because you found that, I have to do this on my own because I didn't get this from all the people, above me, my aunts, my uncle, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so your elder sibling, or, was it also that aside from you doing what you did, you were also having to educate them? Because I'm assuming you're wanting to educate your family before you're even expanding out and helping others.
Then no, I didn't have the need to educate my family because when you grow up in poverty, um, you don't have time. You don't have time to stop and
Yeah.
educate your family as well as make sure your households withstand. And growing up in poverty, it's a generational thing. It's a generational of your parents not being financial literate, your grandparents not being financial literate. It's a
Right.
cycle and something that needs to break. And when you're constantly moving, trying to maintain yourself, it's hard to stop what you're doing and try to help someone else maintain in your
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
It's hard for people who grew up in a different generation to understand the love of giving, to understand what you like to do. They may frown upon it because they're like, how is that helping you become successful? Because they have no idea about anything but survival and making money, because that is a poverty issue. I'm not going to just say it's an issue with African Americans, of
Right.
course, because majority of African Americans grow up in poverty. However, I'm going to say poverty, when you're living in poverty, you're not literate on a lot of things, and finances being one of them. And sometimes you don't have the time to stop to educate other people when you're constantly going to just survive and make it out of poverty into middle class.
So I want to know, because this is interesting, when you said that you went out, you started, you went out to the bus stop,
Yeah.
and obviously, because that's where you probably find the moms for school and picking up their kids. Um, that to me, that would have been very challenging. But when you started that, was that your first forethought to say, I could take this someplace, I could do something with this, and how, what were people's reactions? Because I'm sure that wasn't common.
No, it wasn't. Actually, it was tearful. A lot of people was like, "Oh my gosh, you have no idea." Like, I literally was just trying to ask someone for at least $10 for diapers. And when my great grandmother is a very big giver, like, she grew up in a church. She, was born from Bessemer, Alabama, and she always taught me that when you give a blessing, you receive much blessings more, depending on what your intentions are. And my intentions was always good, because I said, if I was a mom struggling like this, I know there were more moms who are struggling like this. So I seen these moms every morning. I would have my baby in my harness, and it's nothing to take recycled Giant Eagle or Food Line bags down and fill them up with diapers, wipes, and lotion and just give them to at least 5 women. I'm already a bag lady. What's 3 more bags going to do? It's just that integrity, generous thought that I had in my head. Like, hey, I don't need all of this stuff, but I probably know there's another woman out here that needs it more. You know, it wasn't that hard for me. It wasn't that hard for me to just give, because it's just something that I like to do. So it wasn't really challenging, but it did open my eyes to see that it wasn't just me. I'm not the only woman going through this. I'm not the only woman feeling like this. I'm not the only woman trying to make these executive decisions, because executive decisions growing up in poverty is diapers or feminine hygiene products, or paying your rent, or buying your kid another pair of shoes from that rent. Those are the things that, we go through and we don't talk
Mhm.
about enough.
Do you think that you find in, at least I can say in a sense, yes, that you find in women that a lot of them don't say anything because it feels that it makes them as if they're not, people say you're not a good mother. So you
Right.
don't care that you're struggling, that you're stressing, that, you're barely putting food on the table, because it's so easy for people to demean you and look down on you. And then it makes you even more depressed and work harder. But I mean, I could imagine, because that's how I used to feel. Like I didn't want people to know. So I just put on this face like it was fine.
Right. And you don't want people to judge. A lot of things that happens in low income communities is we are the biggest critics of ourselves. And we do not offer the handout. We like to do more to take so we can support ourselves and survive. And when you see someone else struggling and you see someone else that has less than you, then it's frowned upon, and it's said, oh, you don't want to be like that person. I know you heard that. Oh, if you don't go to college, you're going to be struggling and be like that person. Oh, if you have that baby, you're on your own. Those are the words that stick in your head, and that affects you mentally. Even though now it's okay to say, hey, that affected me mentally, that affects you mentally. You feel like you're stuck in a corner because you already know what you've been told. You already know you made the decision to have this kid. You already know, if you were told, if you didn't go to college, don't ask me for anything.
Right. Right.
Right. And it's that, okay, I know this. I'm educated on what not to ask for, but I'm not educated on to ask for. That is the big problem. Do you understand? That's a huge issue in low income communities, a huge issue. And when you have that one voice like mine, it's like, hey, I need help. I'm doing horrible. It kind of changes the narrative for everyone to follow suit. And when you have a helping hand reaching out, you know, it creates a domino effect of giving.
You kind of you hit it right on the nail.
Mhm.
How did you know when was the right time, or that you wanted to then start a nonprofit? Because volunteerism is, let me tell you, it's it it takes, to me, special people for volunteerism, because you're not, you're volunteering your time, plus you already have your own struggles, and but you're still trying to foresee and look out for others.
Mhm.
Why then to start the nonprofit, and then how did you come up with the name, the alignment chapter?
It was back in 2019 in the summer. I always said I wanted to start a nonprofit, but I never did it, because I was always chasing the success and doing what I thought can do to make me good cash, and still
Hmm.
working jobs that I hated to death. I mean, hated to death. And I always still coupon, and I always still seen the need on social media of women crying out, women committing suicide because they struggle too much. I mean, you read this stuff all the time, and I kept saying I need to start my nonprofit because I want to end this suicide rate. I want to end this mental decline in single moms who feel like they have nobody. And it was in the summer of 2019 where a young lady got out her car while her four children watched, on a bridge, and jumped because she was just defeated of struggling alone, and she was tired of life. And right then and there, I knew, like, I just need to go ahead and start my nonprofit. And I got my 501c3 in 2019 of November, and then COVID hit of 2020.
Hmm. Right.
And, it was a big rush for me. Didn't, you ask for the abundance, but when you get it, you be like, okay, God, when He gave it to you, He knew I wasn't ready. Okay. So I
Right.
had to go, like, ready on go. I mean, I was sharing through social media, telling everybody that we're available for help, reaching out to fellow couponers to donate items, and our nonprofit was staying just from life saving donations. We haven't got approved for any grants, which is expected being, an African American nonprofit providing, the needs, the free resources to low
Hmm.
income communities, which consist majority of African American women. And that thing did not surprise me. However, when we did start our nonprofit and kept it going, it really let me know this is what I want to do forever. Like, this is my forever, because getting that adrenaline rush by giving back to somebody who was so afraid to say that they were in need, but they trust you and they feel comfortable with you, and
Right.
they tell you that, hey, you have provided me with something that I really needed, even if it's something as petty as dishwashing liquid. They
Yeah.
were more than grateful for that. So, that's what really made me start the alignment chapter. And the alignment chapter stands for all women aligned with their purpose. Like I said, being taught to go to college, I was not aligned with my purpose. I was miserable. I was just working jobs, trying to pay off student debt, not really doing what I wanted to do. And I was aligned with my purpose, which was to start a nonprofit to help women. This is like you see all the time on shows where they do give backs. It's because of something that they like doing.
Having that, because you have a son, correct?
Yes, I have a son. I have a bonus son, from my fiance,
So I
and I
know
have
it.
two daughters.
So how do you think, how much involvement do you allow your kids to see and understand? Because volunteerism, and of course, and then them understanding, mom, you're spending so much time, making sure others are taken care of, and then of course still also trying to be there for your family and manage and take care of them. How much
It,
involvement do they have, do they see?
One of the things that my fiance and I adapted, and what we always talk about with each other, is that, um, and what you probably know, growing up in a Black family, is always go in the other room so you don't see what we're doing, or,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't want you to be educated on this. We want our children to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. There are people out here that have less than us, that need us, and that need our help. So we like for them to be hands on so they can feel like, okay, if I want to help in a different way. So if I don't want to just give back to single moms, what if I want to help women with cancer? What if I want to help
Mhm.
children with autism? They have that ammunition to do it because they have seen mommy and daddy do it for so many years. They have seen me do it. You know, when you let your children sit around and listen to interviews and listen to you talk and do live streams, they duplicate your verbiage and that education, and they know about public speaking, they know about helping communities. And that's what a lot of our children need to be educated on today. You know, they see so many things on social media, but when you spill that positivity and how much of a blessing it is to somebody else, they learn that automatically. So I love for them to be hands on. They help me pack boxes, they help me with emails. You're going to learn early. Whenever they want to do it, you know, like I really
Yeah.
like for them to do it when they want to do it. You know, that's just something I always, you know, I want them to be kids, but if you want to dive in, you're more than welcome to.
And entrepreneurship starts so early. So it's
Yes, it
always good
does.
to get them involved, always, as well as volunteerism. And I remember as I volunteered in my 20s raising my children, and it was really for the simple fact of if I volunteered in certain community, in so many community events or with extracurricular activities, it was for me to save money so my kids didn't have to pay for the sport.
Right,
So, but then I had ended up like getting my kids to volunteer because it was always somebody younger than them.
right.
I wanted to share ask you about the how did it come into fruition where even you been considered as one of Forbes, 40 and under success stories. I mean, did you even think like who's watching me? Is anybody, because you're as a volunteer, then you don't think of what you get in return except for the achievement of helping others, the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping others and them seeing that you're being supported, because that's how I look at volunteerism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then in turn for someone to look at you and say very impressed by what you're doing, and
Right.
then to be given that achievement. I mean, that's an honor.
Yes. Social media is very, very widespread. And one of the things that I'm unapologetically unashamed. And I shared everything that I was doing through the pandemic, everything I was doing through the pandemic, and offering help out loud. And so many people shared that. So many people commented on it. So many people were thankful, started to share their stories, and was grateful, saying, hey, this organization really helped me when I was in a dark space. And
Right.
just from people sharing and commenting and loving everything that we were doing, I mean, we start getting outpour from all over, like support from Ellen DeGeneres. We got support from Lena Dunham. We got support from so many celebrities and, you know, different activists that were congratulating us on the hard work that we're doing. Like, I know there was essential heroes, but we never were quarantined. So we were not considered, we're essential heroes because we're out here providing a need. As you can
Yeah.
imagine, shelves were cleared. So when those shelves were cleared, who else are you gonna call? You can't go run anywhere else, you know. So we became, that fruit that they needed to eat. Okay. And that's just how it worked. And when people recognize that and they see that and they see you're passionate about it, your passion outweighs your purpose a dollar. You're not thinking about what other people are thinking. You're not thinking about, oh, who's watching me? Like, you're not doing it for that. You're actually doing it for the purpose of helping others. When
Exactly.
you have that integrity in mind, none of the benefits matter because you're not doing it to benefit yourself. You're doing it to help other people.
I read an article and I wanted to read this to you, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. So, the American family structure has changed due to the increase in divorce rates, unmarried women with children, of course, single mothers, and now fathers, also single fathers. Studies have shown that when compared to other countries, the United States has the world's highest rate of children living in single parent households, with more than 80% of these children living with their mothers only. So, what do you think are those statistics? Do you think that's very high or not high enough statistic?
I
And
don't
what
think this statistic is high enough.
That's what I thought.
I don't think it's high enough. This everywhere you turn, there's a single parent household.
Mhm.
It's very uncommon that you would see a two-parent household. Very uncommon. And it's not for selfish reasons. And it's not for it's just people don't want to be toxic together, so they feel like they're better apart.
Right, right.
When you talk about divorce rate, you talk about mental, emotional stability, trying to raise children and sustain yourself. So sometimes those families separate. A lot of the times, it's now that the new ruling has come out, this is going to increase. I don't think everyone knows the effect of Roe v. Wade is going to have on
Oh,
single parent
yeah,
households.
yeah.
It's going to increase double, and we have to get ready for the inflation of poverty.
Hmm.
And when you look at it that way and you see how and what poverty consists of single family households.
Hmm.
And when you look at that and you look at the decisions that our government makes, you see how it trickles all the way down to the bottom of what the future looks like for our country. Now, as we're stating this, we have to also understand single mothers are afraid because if they make a logical mistake, okay, you make a mistake, you think you're
Yeah,
with your future husband, you're not, you
yeah,
end up pregnant, you cannot
yeah.
afford a fifth kid, but you're forced into it. So now what? And programs like us never turn anyone away. So this is becoming, it's going to be trendy. It's going to be trendy. The single parent household is going to become very trendy, and we have to attack it before it starts and see what we can do to prevent those suicide numbers, the poverty rate increasing, see what we can do to prevent all of that.
No, I'm glad that you said about and brought that up with Roe versus Wade because the I get where some people think, where does life actually begin? But it isn't really just about, termination, because termination of pregnancy, there's a lot more involved with just abortion that law had in place. It wasn't just abortion. It was also, when I was young, being able to go in and talk to somebody,
Yes,
wanting to make the right decision and having available the choices that you can't necessarily, you're afraid or you feel you can't even discuss with your parents.
right,
So that Planned Parenthood, was there for a purpose and a reason. And but also, even beyond that point, what I think some people don't understand is your life can be great at the moment. You can have a great relationship on your way to marriage, or have the two people involved. You think if you're going to have the picket white fence, and all of a sudden something happens and you have to make this decision. Now, what do I do? So it's not just about women getting pregnant
right.
and saying, "Oh, don't want to have a baby." There's so much more involved in that. It's such it's such a shame. It's such a shame.
It is.
Aren't looking outside of that. For now, for young adults and people coming in, and right now maybe they are a single mother, and um I want to ask you about the show that I watched, this
Mhm.
reality show, and it's and having to do with young pregnant moms on TV. It's become the thing now, and I think it's called Teen Moms, and now they have two different ones.
Young and pregnant and teen moms.
Yes. So, being that, of course, being a single mother, you're an advocate for helping women, helping for all who are struggling in the community, but specific to moms and single moms that are struggling. My personal opinion, I think it promotes. I think it promotes. Um, Sometimes even though they see the parents struggling, it's almost promoting teen pregnancy, because I'm seeing how so many people are trying to get on that show. And so, like, I'm pregnant, I'm going to get on the show, and they're getting paid. I mean, your outlook might be different, but what do you think about those shows? Sometimes I think it is somewhat of a promotion. Like, in the end, oh, it's going to be fine. And it's not always fine, because if some people, you get pregnant, there's this mental breakdown that they're not showing what sometimes is really happening.
Right. And that is a known fact. I think it's a perk and a curse. The perk is they see how bad they're struggling. They see how bad that they are trying to make it, or the backlash they're getting about, how they're trying to make ends meet, how they're crying. A lot of those times they're crying, they're in mental shambles on that show. That could be a perk for them to say, listen, I don't want to be like that. Okay, let me try to go this way. But for other girls who are, pregnant, they're going to feel like, hey, I could just get on a show, or not just get on a show. Hey, I could just do X, Y, and Z and I'll be fine. That's
Right.
not always the case. And I think social media and television has made it to where people think that it's a reality,
Yeah.
and it's only 20% a reality. They don't show you what's going on behind the scenes. They don't show you, their doctor's appointments. They don't show you how they're literally down to their last dollar. And a lot of the times, if you notice on their shows, a lot of the moms are drinking or using drugs, or they have a
Mhm.
significant other that's doing the same thing. They don't show you the real deal behind the scenes. And what we have to start doing is letting our youth know that social media and TV is not a reality. It is not.
Right.
Okay? It's a lie, and it's just showing you other people's 20% of their lives. That's
Exactly.
it.
And it has so much significance because I, as I said, I was a single mother. I know many single mothers growing up. And I remember us going in the Salvation Army lines and getting the groceries, or, having to flip from one church or something to pay utilities this month, and you can't go there. So you go to this other organization to pay utilities that month, and so you had to understand how to play in the way the system, what they were offering, so you can get your bills paid. I'm just like, yeah. So the show sometimes, like, oh, I don't really know if that's really considered reality in a sense. You know what I mean? Or the times
Yeah, show them standing in those lines. Show them. Show that. Don't just show their drama, show their struggle, their real struggle of catching public transportation.
yeah,
You notice you don't see that on there, them
no,
catching
right,
public transportation with their child. Show
right,
the real. They don't always have a ride. They only have a ride coincidentally because of the show. Show their true reality. Show them with groceries on the bus holding a baby in a harness.
right,
Show them getting a birthday cake and carrying the birthday cake with your kids onto the bus.
right,
Show them those things. That way they have the understanding of, oh my gosh, like this is not okay. I do not want to be like this. Show them that.
yeah,
Don't just show them the drama and how they get through it.
right,
Show them their reality.
yeah. I wanted to talk more a bit about the alignment chapter in the organization, and how actually, events coming up, but how people can actually also contribute and help, because maybe some people don't understand just that every little bit. And, for myself, I think it would, unless to me, I would say some people feel that if you give money, that's enough. And sometimes it just isn't enough to give money. And so for me, of course, I didn't always have money. So I had my labor and time. So I volunteered, and what I had, I would give. But then there's someone who's, oh, as long as I just give money. But there's so many other avenues that where people can help with time and giving. And I know here every year in Vegas, they're asking for, we would rather you bring food, diapers, wipes, clothes, you know what I mean? And money is great if you also want to give money towards the rent and bills, but it only goes so far. But people really need a lot of that physical stuff. How can people contribute and help and maybe understand how your organization works?
Well, we have an Amazon Smile link, which is our link in bio on our Instagram. And our Instagram is just how it is, the alignment chapter, and that's spelled with two L's, ALLIGNMENT chapter. You can follow us on Instagram. We're very transparent, so you see where all your donor dollars go. You click that link, you can donate through our Amazon link, and we have a wish list where you can pick school
Oh,
supplies, you could pick diapers, you could pick wipes, you could pick feminine hygiene products, deodorant, hair care. You can donate through there. Sharing is caring. I always tell everyone to share our stories. Share our mission. The more people that know about us, the more successful we sustain. So I always encourage people to share or listen to our podcast. I have a podcast. It's the Nell Jones podcast, where
Oh,
I interview different types of mothers. And we have very authentic conversations. And I want people to hear the stories behind what we are fighting for and why our mission is so powerful. So you can also visit our podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple. And just volunteer your time, like you said, even if you're a grant writer, even if you're someone that has a warehouse and would like to offer that for us for free for a whole year, that will be amazing. Or offer us a nice truck that we can use when we do our pull up drop off drives in different communities, where we pull up and just let moms walk up and get what they need off the truck and keep going. We have our Boots for Moms drives, where we on our Amazon wish link, where we, get people to go on and buy a brand new pair of boots and coats for moms for the winter, because as you all know, moms recycle those items.
right.
So we want to give that option for you to get a brand new pair of boots from us. Um, there's so many different ways you could contribute. And if you just want to donate, make sure you just visit our website at www.thealignmentchapter, again with two L's, .org, and click on that donation link, and you can donate however much you want. But we're here for anything, whatever you would like to give, we will definitely take it for a mom.
I'm glad you said about donating because so for years it took me, and this is nothing against Goodwill, but for years, and I realized, because of course the Goodwill truck would come around, and this is when I was young, and you get your bag ready and they leave something on your door, and they don't really do that as much anymore as they did when I was in my 20s and my teens, and someone come around and they pick up a bag, and now they become really so much more selective, and you drop it off. But what I didn't realize is that, until I found out someone that worked there, is, and having shopped there myself, is people are like, why aren't you giving to um, organizations for women and shelters which don't charge and resell it? So this is nothing against Goodwill, but the majority of I say of people who donate, have, what I found and what the statistics show, are women. So you would think that the women would be giving to women's organizations, or shelters and stuff, because you get that for free. So I mean, I was just throwing that out there. So in that instance, you would think that would be the case. That someone say, because if you have this chapter in this organization for women, that more people would say, okay, start giving to where we can give this away and give to women's shelters versus Goodwills or places that are reselling it for a profit.
Yeah. I always say that. And then two, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is a mother's always given a hand-me-down. She's never awarded the fruits of living. Wouldn't you like a brand new shirt, or a brand new pair of shoes, or a
Mhm.
brand new pair of socks? And
Right.
that's something that somebody else has worn. Sometimes we think of that too when it comes to women who are in need. They're
Mhm.
always given hand-me-downs and never bought nothing brand new.
Mhm.
Because and then in that instant, you have to understand they accept it because they feel like they don't deserve it. And a lot of times we like for women to understand that you deserve to have just as much as someone who has it does. And our nonprofit, we do pride on that. We do pride on taking brand new clothes. Not only that, because of COVID, you got monkeypox going around. There's
Mhm.
different diseases going around, and
Right.
sometimes it's better safe than sorry than to get some donated items, not properly sanitize them, give them to a mom. Say if someone donates baby clothes, we give the baby clothes to another baby, the baby ends up with monkeypox. Do you know how horrible that would feel as an organization? Sometimes it's just, I mean, we like women to have that voluntary option
Mhm.
to go to the Goodwill or to go to the Salvation Army. A lot of the times we do not like to provide used items, but for the Goodwill and for the moms, the places who do take used items, I do feel like they should donate to organizations who have the proper sanitized equipment to
Right.
disinfect, to make sure they don't. I feel like they should do that. What is called to me is laziness. You do
Right.
not feel like
Right.
searching for these organizations and making sure, so it's easier to just drop a bag off at the
Right.
Goodwill and keep it pushing. So I
Right.
just know, like, the answer a little bit is just laziness. They just like, nah, I don't feel like doing all that. I'll just drop it off down here and go. That's what I feel like it is, honestly. But I really wish they would outsource outside of the Goodwill to see what other organizations
Yeah.
can take these items.
I want to ask. So, what would you think, with everything and the hardships and challenges you have gone through, as and your experiences in life, as well as seeing other women who are still going through it, or in the stages where you're helping them through it. What would you say the takeaway would be for our listeners to understand with connecting with you, and about not giving up and moving on, because we're not the only ones. You're not the only one, even though our situation may be different. What would the takeaway be for them?
Life has different obstacles and hurdles. Okay. And moving through them instead of running away from them will help you navigate into a fruitful, I want to say fruitful future, because you can't hold on to a problem for long, right? The problem is going to come whether you have money, whether you don't have money, it's
Right.
going to come. And it's always going to affect you emotionally. Never let your emotions make your decisions. Never let your emotions make your decisions. If you see someone that is in need of help, never let your emotional fear of, if I stop the car and ask this person for help, they're going to hurt me like somebody else in my past hurt me, or they're going to hurt me like someone who I ran into hurt me. Give that helping hand, because you have no idea how you could change somebody's life. If you change somebody's mindset, you could save their life. And I'm very, 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 very strong on saying that. If you could change someone's mindset and all it takes is literally this much of a give, of a handout,
Right.
then you can do that. I want you guys to take away today of learning the acceptance. Learn acceptance and learn how to give instead of take. If you give more and you accept life for how it comes, then it will be so much more peaceful in the world. I always say that. If you just accept life how it comes and you give more, do you know how much more positive and happy people we would have walking around? Less violence, less anger, less suicide. More positivity and more giving is what helps us build a better community.
I want to ask you before we go is about the mental part of it, the mental health part of it. Because I know for me, it took me years and years to stop feeling guilty of when you get to that point of, um, the tough love phase of being a mother, or the
Hmm.
always like, oh, but if I could have, I should have, and never feeling as though you're enough of a mother, and trying to have the separation of being a parent. And don't want to say mom and dad, so I'm saying being the parent and being the friend. Is how much importance of that is for people to, finally accept, that, okay, you know what, I am a good mother, I make some mistakes. That's really hard. It's really hard to get to that point.
You have to do what you have to do as a parent to make sure your child is safe and raised correctly. Um, you must educate your children on life. You must educate them on life. The school system is there to educate them on school.
Mhm.
You, as a parent, are here to educate your child on life, on how to navigate through life, how to move through life, no matter how ugly it may come off. They will always understand when they grow up that my mom or my dad taught me this and I should have listened, or this is why they were teaching me this. We are here to educate, or I say this all the time, our children on life. I don't care how bad they cry, kick, scream, say you're the worst parent in the world. You are here to show them, okay, I didn't make it to this play, or I didn't make it to this football game, but I had to work to make sure you got those shoes you've been crying for about 2 months. See, what
Right.
happens is when I don't work and when I keep coming to games, then we don't have the things that we deserve, or we have to downsize our life. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like that because I wouldn't be able to pay that tuition for that football team. So
Right.
you have to educate them on, hey, I'm not doing these things because I don't love you. I'm doing these things so I can educate you and provide for you. And this is what you're going to have to do in the future for yourself. You must make sacrifices.
Right.
And
Right.
being a parent, we make a ton of sacrifices. And those sacrifices hurt. But at the end of the day, when we understand that, hey, I'm a teacher, I'm here to teach my child about this world out here, things that they don't know, and I want to educate them along the way, then you'll be just fine. Sometimes you have that mommy guilt, and sometimes you wish you coulda, shoulda, woulda. Hey, I wish I didn't go to school full time, and I didn't, go to college full time. Why I had a baby? Those are the things that taught me lessons, and I learned. Those things right there, you learn from them. You're always going to have those things you wish you didn't do, but you can't take it back. All you could do is move forward because now that you're educated, well, what not to do and what to do now and how I can manage my time and resources. So
Mhm.
we're all educated and learning and growing. So I never tell anybody, don't feel guilty for your actions unless it's a bad action. Never feel guilty for educating your children and making sure you're doing sacrifices for their benefit.
So within the organization, if for what are all of the different courses or training involvement that you offer where you can help other people where they can get involved, and have you considered expanding?
Yes, right now we have expanded. We deliver right now we're delivering to 92 states and 120 communities.
Oh my
We make sure all moms get a box of emergency household essentials. We offer a 6-week free financial literacy course. What that means is moms are educated on resume building, credit repair, savings, bonds, home ownership. Anything that you lack in literacy wise, we make sure we provide that education right then and there. We do offer, mental health support for our volunteer mentors who we have trigger moms who feel like, I feel like I want to hurt myself. We
Mhm.
make sure we have mentors on hand who are ready to jump in on the phone, on the call, see what they could do to de escalate that situation. We do offer a variety of programs here. So, definitely visit our website and search around and see all the different things that we offer. And a lot of it is for the mental health of a mother.
Well, I am very pleased to have you on the show because I was, as I said, I was extremely impressed by what you've done, and so early on in your life, and that is such a giving as attribute just to have, because for usually you don't find moms going through it and say, you know what, even though I'm going through it, the hell with that, I'm still going to do all of this and still help
Right.
and still help everybody else. I mean, it's not really common, at least from my experiences, because you said you
Mhm.
help yourself first. You know what I
Right.
mean? Always you help yourself first, then whatever you have left, you help other people. And
Right.
so it's so commendable also just to be honored as a Forbes 40 and under. So I hope that everybody, and because this can obviously, you're in so many states, that so many more people get involved, and definitely check out your website and the podcast, because it's really nice to have it someone to have something, an opening, or some type of brand where you can have people like single moms and say that,
Right.
we, as you said, TV and commercial and what you hear on Dr. Bill and stuff, it's great, but it's really not the root of really the experience, because there's always something that's cut out. And they,
Mhm.
yeah, but no one's gone through this though. No, I'm sure they have. They just haven't said it. And a lot of women are uncomfortable and don't want to say it. So it's great
Right.
that you said your show is transparent and people can really talk about what the real is, what's really happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's really impressive to have. So I hope that a lot of people connect with the show and watch your podcast.
Thank you.
So before we go, I want to make sure that everybody hears where they can again find you and listen to the podcast and download it.
Well, you can find us on Instagram again. Instagram is under Ray Nell Jones Podcast. You can also follow me on Ray Nell Jones on Instagram. And for our nonprofit, you can follow the Alignment Chapter. That's with two L's. And our link in bio is there on every single one of our Instagram accounts. You can get whatever you need. You can watch the podcast. You can see how you can donate. You can see what we're doing differently. You can check me out being organic and my daily reality on my page. You get the best of all three worlds. So it's just, I love being having Instagram and all those three different Instagram accounts because you get to explore. So definitely follow us on Instagram and get to know me and also get to know more about the alignment chapter.
Well, thank you again, and everybody who has been listening on the podcast. I appreciate. I do see you there, and sorry, you guys. Somebody said I had something on my technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Make sure that you guys check it out on streaming on the live webpage. Go to entrepreneurlifeshow.com on the Roku or Fire Stick channel. You will be able to download it and watch it right on TV, or just share with your friends on the podcast. And until next week and next Thursday, thank you everybody for tuning in and for having such a wonderful guest. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.